Well, it's been a long time since I did one of these, but with current events on and off the pitch, I thought I'd do this very quickly because usually I do this sort of thing after each game, but of course I'm not going to the games this season, well, not many, or at the moment I don't know, I don't know when next match is going to be at all. Maybe Boxing Day, I don't really know. Anyway, the thing is, I do put up my comments during the match, different bits, and different people that our current form seem to blame, believed Mourinho's propaganda that don't blame me, you've got to blame the board, you've got to blame the board. Now, to me that doesn't wash. To me that doesn't wash. Not at all, not in a million years, and yet still people, blame the board, and they feel sorry for Mourinho that he hasn't been given more money to build the team as he would like. But the thing is that, as far as I'm concerned, correct me if I've got this one wrong, but the board are there to appoint the manager and deal with the runnings of the club to make sure that we've got people who are good in different areas of the club when it comes to merchandising and sponsorships and all that shit, and that the board create the appointments for the people to control the various different departments or areas that now a football club has to have to survive in this modern age. And of course the most important appointment, well maybe not the most important, it is maybe the second most important appointment is the manager, because he's the guy at the end of the day is who, when all the rest of the shit is going on around running a football club, you say to this guy, oh by the way, there you go, there's the squad, if you need any improvements to the squad we'll give you the money for it, but it's up to you to decide the training exercises that you're going to use when we're not playing football, the diet that the players are going to be on, the exercises that they do, the equipment, all that sort of stuff. You're going to decide when it comes to each specific game which players are going to play, which tactics you're going to use, and which substitutions you're going to make during that game. All that's down to you. You are solely in charge of that. Now, sorry, when I look at United at the moment, yeah, there are some players who, you can't, when you have players who make individual mistakes, you go, who do you blame for that apart from the player? But the fact is, when you look at the way United play at the moment, you've got to say to yourself is that sometimes I'm scratching my head at some of the substitutions that we make. I really am scratching my head. I'm really scratching my head at some of the teams that he puts out. I'm scratching my head at the tactics that we're playing, and all of that has to go down to one man, and that has to be the manager. It's got nothing to do with the board. Now, Mourinho, after the last game when we got beaten by Juventus, and every time we lose or play shit or get a stupid draw against a stupid team, he seems to never ever point the finger of blame to himself. He always deflects it away from him. He just doesn't want to man up and say, yeah, I got that wrong. I got the tactics completely wrong, and I changed the subs there, and that let them back into the team. Or I shouldn't be playing him on the right, I should be playing on the left, all that sort of stuff. And he never ever does that. And after the Juve game, I did see a bit where he seemed to be going on an awful lot about the Juventus centre-backs. He was name-dropping as usual to say, that's why we lost that game, because Juve have got they've got decent centre-backs. Now, to my mind, the reason why we lost the Chelsea game, although we gave away, a couple of stupid goals, is because he made the error, and I did say it during the game, of the substitutions that he made, that we were surprisingly winning at Chelsea, and he took off players who were doing something, changed the team when there was no need to do it, and as a result we stopped being a team that could score some goals. And then it was more like, well, we're 1-up, let's play defensively. But United at the moment can't play defensively, and we know what happened. So coming to the Juve game, right, the thing is, we did lose a goal early on. We did lose a goal early on, but we couldn't score. The reason why we lost the Juve game is because, not because we lost a goal, because our centre-backs are shit, because the board never backed him in getting in some decent centre-backs, and that's why we lost the game. The reason why we lost the game is because, you know, we couldn't score a goal. We couldn't score a goal. Now, I don't mind, scoring goals is what the game's all about, really. And at the end of the day, other teams are probably going to score against you. You know, sometimes you can't do anything about penalties or free kicks, which are, you know, that no goalie in the world can beat. You can't do anything about some fantastic long shots that happen, or an incredible header, or whatever it is, or one defender, you know, slipping or whatever, letting something through. Sometimes these things happen, so you have to be prepared for always that, you know, the other team is maybe going to score a goal. So you combat that by having your team set up to then score more than they do. And that's what used to happen in the old United way, where, you know, we'll score one more goal than you. You know, we maybe lose 1 or 2, but we'll score 3 or 4. So that wasn't the reason why we lost that game. We lost that game against Juventus. It's not because of that goal. It's because we didn't have the ability. And it has a constant feature of United is that, you know, we don't even seem to score goals in the first 45 minutes either. It's only when we go behind that maybe all of a sudden you say, well, I tell you what, let's try plan A, where we're all defensive and we don't have a go at teams. Let's try plan B, where we'll actually try and score some goals. That's why we lost that game. That's why we lost that game, because we couldn't score a goal. So let's go back to the fact that he's then going on about the fact that you know, clearly the board hasn't backed him, as many people keep on saying. That's the reason why we're shit at the moment. That's not the reason why we're shit, and I've got the figures to prove it. There was an article came out, it might have been today, I don't know, you know, because sometimes you need a little reminder of what he's actually spent. Now, according to this, he has spent £360 million. He's spent £360 million. Well, let's have a quick a refresh on what he spent all that money. Because if he'd come into United and the board would say, sorry, you're just going to have to deal with the Dutch manager's squad, good luck on that one, we're giving you no money, I would think maybe as a point that the board hasn't backed him, maybe those performances that would then ensue would maybe prove the point. But the fact is, 360 million, it's a hell of a lot of money. So let's go through some of these again. It's amazing to think about this. Right, so let's go to Eric Bailly. Eric Bailly, he was signed as, funny enough, a centre-back. He was brought in as a centre-back because clearly Mourinho had seen what was there, looking at the likes of Rocco, Smalling and Jones, and thought to himself, yeah, well, I need to get somebody in to sort these fannies out. I need to get somebody in. So he spent 300 million, and this is June 2016. So he's been with us over 2 years now. Eric Bailly was brought by Mourinho in to sort out our defence. What has happened to Eric Bailly? Where's he gone? You know, I think all of a sudden, typical Mourinho, he has you know, all of a sudden well, I don't know, sometimes Bailly looks brilliant, and other times he's like all over the place. But surely Mourinho must have, before he brought him in, he must have looked at a few videos, he must have gone and watched him, or sent some of his top crack men, I said crap, not crap, top crack men to go and watch this guy playing football. You know, he didn't play a million miles away, and to actually study him or study videos and say, yes, boss, this is the man for us. You know, this is the guy who's going to. We're going to build from the back because we know you like your team built from the back. We're going to sort this out. So he brought in Bailly to sort out Jones and Smalling, or partnership one of these, and him to sort us out, because that's where we were going wrong. He brought in, no, here's a name from the past. Now, he cost 30 million. He brought in Ibrahimovic, and he was free. He was free, and you know, he was sort of successful, but he did score a few important goals at important times. But there were other times when he was getting to play all the time, and he wasn't making the greatest influence in the game of scoring the goals that we would have. But to me, Ibrahimovic, I always think of his time that he scored that goal that won us the League Cup. So I've got fond memories of him playing for United and scoring some great goals and just being a good character. But he was only going to be there as a stopgap anyway, and we knew that he was towards the end of his playing career and he'd move on. So, he wasn't really a long-term investment, and he was free anyway. Right, Henrik Mkhitaryan, apparently for Borussia Dortmund, he was fantastic. And then he came to United for 30 million, and he was just, sometimes, I can remember a few games he played, he looked really, really good, but so many games he was just like, who is this guy? And it, it was really weird. And of course now, he went off to Arsenal in that sort of strange swap deal that he did with Alexis Sanchez, who didn't cost us nothing. So we got rid of one player who didn't really affect the game, wasn't very good, and we brought in another player, Sanchez, who, funny enough, is exactly the same. Not particularly very good, and is on an extraordinary amount of wages. Right, we'll crack on. Oh, here we go. My favourite player of all time, Paul Pogba. He came in as the world's most expensive player at the time, 89 million. And I don't watch Italian football. I'm not interested. I did, a long time ago when it used to go on like Channel 4, I think it was, and you used to see some of the Italian football on a Sunday afternoon. It was the only time I ever watched it. It was on Channel 4. The only time I ever bothered watching Italian football. I'm not interested whatsoever. But so I had no idea how he was with Juventus. I just remember him playing for United, and I couldn't believe that he went off to Juventus, and they would kept. I've forgotten even remember his name now, but we kept that other centre forward who wasn't particularly good. He scored a great goal against Newcastle, whatever his name is. Some will know who it was straight away. Great goal against Newcastle. It might have been a cross, but it was absolute stormer. Him. So anyway, Paul Pogba, he comes in, and literally Mourinho was creaming himself when the rumours were Pogba was coming back. What a steal! Flipping it! I remember the press conference well, and Pogba back, and all the things about Paul Pogba coming back. It was literally like the return of the Messiah, the second coming of Christ. Honestly. Literally, the only sort of the only way he's any Christ-like is because he has crucified us quite a few times. So Paul Pogba comes on, and if you're going to spend that sort of money for that sort of man and that sort of ego, you would think to yourself that you'd be getting some sort of return for your investment for that money. And I kid you not, there's some games that he plays, he'll play one game and you think, fuck me, this guy's world class. And the next 3 games, you wouldn't even know. Wouldn't even know he was playing football. You wouldn't even know he was actually on the pitch because he's doing nothing at all. And I used to have a go at him, used to talk to him about the lads on the bus. Paul Pogba, because I was getting absolutely obsessed with how shit he was. And they used to say, well, he's not getting played in position he likes. I'm thinking, hold on a second, what do you mean he's going to be played in position he likes? He's not getting played in goals, is he? He's not been told to play right back, and he says, I'm more of a midfield player. You play me into midfield, and I'll show you what I can really do. He is in midfield. He may be a wee bit further back than he wants to be, but the end of the day is when we have the ball and we're in possession of the ball and we're going up the pitch, all of a sudden he has got the ball, he's in exactly the position he wants to do. He can still launch that ball forward right and then run in to try and get the ball back and then to square it off to somebody who may score a goal, or maybe himself, maybe he wants to have a go himself. I don't believe that. I think that's just bollocks, to be honest with you. At the end of the day, it's when you get a player who can launch this wonderful pass far right, and it drops like a bloody penny on somebody's foot. It's that good. And then the next thing is he's got hold of the ball and he can't make a 10-foot pass without giving it away. Or all of a sudden he's fanning about so much that the centre back from the other team will just literally take the ball off him, run off the pitch, and he's banging the floor because he thinks he's been fouled. He hasn't been fouled. He was fanning around on the ball far too much. Sorry, Paul Pogba, for me. Yeah, you hate to use this phrase, what a waste of money, but I don't see it. I don't see, I'm missing it with him completely. So we brought in Victor Lindelof, £30 million, 30 million. That was June 2017. The last game that played, Juventus, he looked like that was his best performance yet. And everybody's going, oh yeah, he's a great defender. Sorry, that's his best performance. How many games has he had for United and been really average or rubbish? Yeah, he had a really good game at Juventus, and I actually thought, yeah, out of all defenders, he was probably our best one. But you want that sort of performance every single game. Not just one game he says, oh, he played really well, and then the next week he's not particularly good. So let's say again, he was brought into centre back. So now we've got two players that he spent 30 million on Lindelof, and how much did he spend on Bailly again? Right, so we spent 60 million on two centre-backs. So maybe if Lindelof was to go into partner buying up and then push out Jones and Smalling, well, that didn't work out at all because we've still got Smalling playing enough every week as a centre-back. So he has had the money to go out. He's bought poorly. Oh my God, it gets worse. So we come to July 2017 and we get Romelu Lukaku. Sorry. When we spend 75 million on who's going to be our centre forward, you'd expect a return shown in goals. And I keep on hearing all the time, oh, he's not given the ball. Sorry, the reason why he's not getting the ball is because, to my mind, he's never in the right position to get the ball. He's never making those runs. And he's got, his first touch is like the first touch of a baby elephant. Some of his first touches, he does get the ball and all of a sudden it's spinning way ahead of him. And that's it, it's gone. To me, again, a poor buy. It really is a poor investment. 75 million. That's a hell of a lot of money. And, you expect him to be scoring at least a goal a game. I can't remember the last time he scored. Or did anything good at all? Honestly. So then we come to July. 21 days later we buy Matic. So here we go. Here's the guy who was supposed to be our warrior midfield, who would allow others, to perform. Matic has been a bit like that again. Those times on the Juventus game, I thought he was really, really good. But there's other times that Matic has. Well, Matic, for instance, for the one, I think Scholes blamed Lindelof, but Matic should have been tracking the run of the Juventus guy who scored the goal. He doesn't track back. And that's my big problem with Matic. And he hasn't formed this sort of wonderful partnership that we thought he would with Pogba and allowed maybe Sanchez, a free roam to anything. It just hasn't worked out. So that's our centre. That's our two midfield players that Mourinho's brought in, Matic and Pogba, who don't work together as you would want them to do. Dalot, a fullback, 19 million. Yet again, he's hardly played. We bought him in June 2018. Right, he's hardly been given any games to play, and he's a Portuguese guy, and I think he's hardly played any games. I'll play him more. Valencia's been injured. I play more, but the things, of course, he's still got Ashley Young. He wants Luke Shaw to come and go on the left, so Dalot's not even really getting a game, unfortunately. And we then have Fred, yet another midfield player, 47 million, which we bought in June. Fred. I don't get it. I've looked at this guy, Fred, probably pre-season when he was over in America. Fred looked brilliant, and I didn't watch any of those games. But sorry, I've looked at Fred playing, and I don't get it. And that's it. That's it. So let's say, if Mourinho really wanted to build a team from the back, he should have. We can see he's bought 2 centre-backs. One of them he doesn't even fancy anymore, and in the summer maybe, instead of buying yet another midfield player, seeing as we hardly have any anyway, instead of spending 47 million on Fred, why didn't he go out and buy yet another centre back instead of the 47 million on Fred? There's a guy called Lee Grant who bought for 1.53 million as well. So that's it. So that is Mourinho's spends 360 million. 360 million he's been given to spend, and I would love to go through that list and go, good signing, great signing, fantastic, well worth the money. Yeah, I'd love to be able to do that. But you know, if you look at some of our better players, the players who he never bought in, Ashley Young has been good as a right back recently. Luke Shaw has had some great games for us. He never brought him in either. And either Martial has played well as well. These are the players which stand out. And of course, Spanish Dave. If it wasn't for Spanish Dave, we would concede probably every game 2 more goals. And he keeps the scores decent. If it wasn't for him, we would look embarrassing. Well, we do look embarrassing, but it wasn't for him. And these are guys, you know, if like Mourinho signed Spanish Dave, we'd say, you know, well, that's his best signing ever. I'm really struggling when he spent 360 million to find a best signing out of those players, players that I can really see have turned it on. So how can he then use that excuse that the board hasn't backed him when he spent that amount of money, and yet the players he's brought in have been bang average at best? Now the thing about it is, I just want to draw a comparison here. The interesting thing is, we're 10th in the league. Now if you look at the teams above us, you actually look at their whole, I'm looking at their whole squad, not the 11 guys who get to play regularly every week, but the whole squad, their net worth. This is interesting, if you like figures. Right, in 9th place is Wolves. The net worth of their squad, is 196 million. 8th place is Everton. Their net worth is, the squad's worth is 383 million. 7th place, Watford, 150 million. 6th place, Bournemouth, 170 million. Spurs, who are 5th, and I believe 7 points ahead of us, 753 million. Arsenal, 7 points ahead of us, in 4th place, 516 million. Yeah, Manchester United, 751 million worth for the squad. In fact, Spurs' squad's worth more than ours apparently. But the interesting thing about Arsenal is, Arsenal got rid of their manager, as we know. They got rid of their manager, they've got a new manager in, and they're doing really well. Arsenal doing really well, and yet their squad, 516, ours is worth nearly 240 odd million, worth more than them, and yet they're 4th in the league. And I can't remember them losing a game. They've got a new manager who's come in and has sort of turned that team around. This is what managers are supposed to do. The thing is, what we could get for, let's say 3 players, if we got rid, if we could do a transfer now, we could get rid of Fred, Lukaku, and Paul Pogba. We could get rid of those 3 players, and we could get for that the whole of the Watford and Bournemouth squad for just those 3, or something like that. Anyway, you know, you could. I think for 2 of the players you could get for the whole for the Watford squad. For 3 of them or 4 of them, you could get the whole of the Watford and Bournemouth squad. Now the thing is about this is at the end of the days, when you have teams like Watford and Bournemouth and Wolves and Brighton, Hove Albion, who are below us, who either are giving us a game or beating us or whatever it is, who are, when you look on the pitch, they are our equals. You have to say to yourself is, how in God's name can teams like Wolves, Watford and Bournemouth be ahead of us in the league when their total cost is equivalent to 2 of our players, or 3 at a push? How can that happen? How can that happen? Because they don't have, when you look at the teams, anybody who just all of a sudden, you know, that rhymes off the tongue. They don't have like a lot of international players. I think one of them maybe have a few Portuguese players, you know, play for them. You don't have a lot of players that just rhyme off the tongue who plays, you know, for their international team. So the end of the day is, how is it, Mourinho, that there are squads above you in the league, with teams whose net worth is equivalent to only 3 of the players who play for United that you've brought in and have underachieved? How have those managers who haven't had the financial clout, they haven't had 360 million to spend when in fact the whole squad's only worth 150, 170, 196 million, the whole squad? How is it that they're able to do that? How that's where you've got to do your like for like. How can they do that and you can't? And it must come down to simple things like tactics, training, substitutions, transfers, and being a good manager, actually getting your team to play as a team. And having, you don't have to, in the game of football, have to have people that excel in positions. You just have to have, I would doubt that within Bournemouth, Watford and Wolves that any particular player in a position really is maybe world class in that position or excels. I think at the end of the day is they probably are all maybe average or a little higher than average players, but the difference is they play as a team, they know where players are going to be, and their tactics are sorted out before they get on the pitch. And the substitutions are good, and the manager doesn't berate them off camera and on camera. That to me is a difference, and that's why this whole thing that people say to me on the Facebook page, blame the board. I can't blame the board. I can only blame the fact that the person who puts out that team, who has the tactics, who sets up to play in a certain system, who makes the substitutions, and who's brought in these players who he thought would be good, and they haven't. You know, if you're buying one player and he's not particularly good, fair dues. But when you look at the players that we've bought, all those lists of players here, and say how many of them have excelled at United, and you would struggle to find any of them who really have. So there's a continuing theme here. So sorry, I'm not buying the fact that the board hasn't backed him. 360 million, to my mind, the board has backed him. Maybe at the end of the day they were so fed up with the amount of money that Mourinho was spending and the fact that he wasn't being able to get the best out of these players, that maybe they thought, you know what, that's it now. We're just going to get to the point that we are going to sack him, and we're going to have to deal with whatever compensation that they're going to have to pay from that time. And unfortunately, I wish we could crack on and get rid of him now, because when went 10th in the league, not able to compete against top European teams, knocked out the League Cup early stages, the FA Cup. Well, I don't know what's going to happen there, but the way we're playing at the moment, we're playing Everton on Sunday, who are 2 places above us. So potentially after all the teams who play on Saturday play, we may not be in 10th. We may have dropped down a couple more places, and then when we play on Sunday, if we're held to a draw, if Everton beat us, we may be in that case, even further down. So that's the way it is. So I keep on saying this again and again and again. Sorry, Mourinho. I don't want to. I've come to the same decision that I had a long time ago. Is, to me, he's bored. The money, the teams, the football we're playing is crap. I'd rather we had some guy who just wants to go in and and just go for it. Anything else, it needs to be changed, and there's you're not going to change the board, you're not going to change the owners of the club. That's not happening soon. The only person that can change the way this club is at the moment, or the way we're playing at the moment, the only change that we need to do clearly has got to be the manager, because he clearly doesn't understand what United fans want from that club, and the players that he's brought in have just been hit and miss at best, and you have to then point that blame to him. So that's it. Sorry, let's stop blaming the board and let's put the blame where it really, really is. One man who is no longer the special one. Bye-bye.